Good morning,
Good morning.
and welcome to the 2025 Hamilton Central School Hall of Honor induction ceremony. On behalf of the Hall of Honor Committee, my name is Gary Weeks, and we welcome you back to HCS and hope that you are enjoying your time over the 4th of July weekend here in Hamilton. We scheduled the Hall of Honor ceremony to coincide with the all-class reunion that is taking place here in the school. So we encourage you to enjoy your Saturday by stopping over to the cafeteria and visit with fellow HCS alums after this morning's induction ceremony. Before we celebrate the 2025 inductees, I'd like to introduce to you the members of the Hall of Honor Committee. These people spend hours scrutinizing nominations, making selections, reaching out to inductees, and preparing the plaques for today's ceremony. The cost for the plaques in today's ceremony come from the Hall of Honor budget. Financial support for the Hall is always appreciated. You can contact the district office or any committee member if you're interested in supporting the Hall. Thank you.
Would you turn the lights on the stage?
Good request.
We have tried many different things, and this is our best option. Our current members, along with myself, are April Cady, Sue Lehman, Nan Washburn, new member Johanna Bossard, and fellow Hall of Honor inductee Barclay Potter. Please give these dedicated members of the committee a round of applause for their time and efforts. Thank you for your hard work. We would also like to welcome back any former members of the committee who may be in attendance this morning, and once again, thank you for your service to the Hall over the years. Welcome back, and thank you. Lastly, if there are any current members of the Hall in today's audience, would you please stand and be recognized? Welcome back, and thank you for being here. And now let's get to today's inductees. Our first inductee, Kathina MacArthur Hatla, class of 1975. Kathina was a 4-year cheerleader for football and basketball, while also playing field hockey, basketball, and track and field. She was also a member of the orchestra and choir. Kathina went on to attend Abilene Christian University in Abilene, Texas, and Texas A&M University to pursue a career in teaching. A rare neurological disease left her paralyzed, but that didn't stop her from following her dreams. Her determination and accomplishments after being stricken with this disease is what has brought her to the HCS Hall of Honor today. Since Kathina was not able to travel from Texas, we are happy to live stream today's induction ceremony so that she can hear all of the wonderful things that are being shared with the audience in her honor. Joining members of her family today to present Kathina into the Hall is the person who nominated her and also her long-dear friends, Lynn Lash and Chuck Goodwin.
We think Kathina is watching this on live stream right now, so I just want to say, if she is, good morning, Kat. We're going to try to do you well for this. Our class has known Kathina since her family moved into the area in about 1967. She was in 5th grade. Her father taught science, coached football and track. We became close friends through school activities like select chorus, sports, cheerleading. She was also in the Honor Society and the Art Study Group. And in senior year, she and Dave Baylor did all the artwork for the 1975 Hamiltonian yearbook. And it's good if you've seen that yearbook. After high school graduation, she moved back to Bryan, Texas, got married, had a child, and then began attending college there. She graduated with her degree and started teaching in 1982. The last time most of us saw Kathina was in July of 1995 at our 20th high school reunion. 4 years later, in 1999, when she was 42, she was stricken with the illness called idiopathic transverse myelitis, which is typically a viral condition that strikes the spinal cord. It hit her in the cervical vertebrae, leaving her paralyzed from the mid-chest down. She walked into the ER feeling ill, and then she never walked again. And transverse myelitis strikes only 1 in 3 million people, so it's very rare. And now we're going to show an 11-minute video about her life that her son-in-law
My favorite
made.
thing to paint is like forest scenes, because growing up, that's what I enjoyed the most. It's just going off by myself up into the woods and climbing trees and playing in the creeks and just exploring around. And so that kind of brings back some of the happier times that I had. I also like painting beach scenes. We'd go down to the beach and I would just sit there and let the waves come in and hit me, and it was kind of serene, and just the beauty of hearing the birds calling, all the shorebirds and everything. And that's one of my favorite places too. So I kind of live vicariously through painting it. My name is Kathina Hatlett, and I have been painting since 1983. I am always in a certain amount of pain. My shoulder joint is always hurting. And so the most I can tolerate is maybe about 2 hours at a time lifting, holding my arm up, and then I have to go take a break. And it's really slow going, because since I just have this one hand, thumb, and these 2 fingers, I have to it's really hard to open the tubes and squeeze them and prep the canvas, and it's just pretty slow going. This one took me about 4 months. I take snapshots and show them online. I have people that say, "Do you have these available for sale?" I said, "Not at the moment, but at some point I might like to have a little exhibit somewhere, if that would be even possible." It was a Saturday right before Easter Sunday, and I was out doing the mom thing. The kids were 4th grade, 6th grade, 9th grade, and 12th grade. And I was out buying Easter basket goodies at Walmart. I just felt like I got hit with something white hot, and it shot down both of my arms. I felt like it hurt and it burned, and it was like a shock. I said, I don't know what is wrong with me. I started going numb, and I called my sister, who's a registered nurse, and I said, I think I need to go to the emergency room. And I walked into the emergency room, and that was the last time I walked. I was just in shock. What is happening? What is going on? Just numb. I was also in denial, because I was thinking, all right, they're gonna give me medicine and they're gonna fix this. I'm gonna get better.
I had the physical therapy with my legs, the range of motion and things. They did the occupational therapy. We had exercise, but I don't remember anybody really addressing the mental aspect of it.
It was really hard getting home and just being kind of dumped there and to just sitting there and staring out the window.
No one handed me an instruction manual on, well, here's what you do now that you're disabled. I didn't know who to turn to for assistance. I didn't know who to turn to for advice. Being disabled is more than just a physical handicap, because you're on a day-to-day basis, you are struggling to keep your head above water. Not only do you have physical pain, emotional struggles like, can I keep going? Can I do this? I just felt pointless, purposeless. I just felt like I was struggling to breathe. The closest I can think of comparing it to was some of these movies that you see about astronauts out in space and how they go to work outside the spacecraft and the tether comes undone and they're just drifting off into space. And that's what it felt like. It was just a void, kind of no up or down, just directionless, no feasible way out, and no passage of time. I finally said, I can't live like this anymore. I've got to do something, and that's when I decided to go back to school, because I was still employed, and with some encouragement, I got my paints back out, and at first I said, I can't do this. I am not able to do this. My hand is shaking, I can't reach up very high. But then I approached it as a way to solve a problem. I have lost so much control over other aspects of my life. This was something I could do that I had creative control over, and I could express myself. It was kind of a creative therapy, if you will. And I could choose the colors, and I could choose the paint strokes, and I could choose the picture I wanted to express. And it was just going through the motions and, blending the colors and getting the shadows and the light coming through the leaves going in the right direction. It was just a very calming, tranquil way to put my mind to something and take it off of all the other things. It's a constant struggle. It's not like, hey, I've arrived, I've beaten this, it's over and done with. It's something I struggle with every day.
I kind of use the analogy of the storms because my life has been pretty stormy the last couple of decades, but I always try to incorporate some light elements to show that there's beauty in the storm. When I first started out, I was doing pretty small canvases, and then my daughter was saying, Mom, you can do bigger ones. We went and bought these big canvases, and I said, I can't reach the top. So I'm thinking to myself, how can I do this? And so I turned it upside down. I was painting clouds upside down. I went from painting like little 11 by 17 paintings to ones that are like 24 by 36. I've got one in my closet I need to finish that's 48 inches. I'm pushing myself to try and do bigger and better. So.
It's like unreal. It's just that I can't believe that stuff that I just did kind of as a hobby is actually on exhibit here, so it's a little overwhelming that it's actually going to be up here for a couple months for people to look at. The amount of time and effort that went into preparing the artwork for this exhibit took literally my whole life. Each one is, I just put my heart and soul into it.
I would go back and tell myself at the time, turn it around and think about who can you help. Don't dwell on what you don't have anymore. Think about what you still have and focus on that and take that and go forward with it. Become a light to other people. Become your own light.
Hard to follow that. We're going to display some of her artwork as I just make a few last comments. Kathina told me one time that her favorite quote was from Dylan Thomas, and it's the one that says, "Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at the close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light." She decided that she didn't want her light to burn out, and it has not. And she's stayed busy and productive. She has had multiple showings. That painting that showcased, or the one she talked about that was her largest painting, is a snow scene that she painted from where the family lived in Hubbardsville, and it was called There Came an Early Snow. And it won second place in a European art contest that was judged of several hundred entries by several European judges. So that was a pretty major accomplishment. And in the last few years, she's had to deal with multiple medical issues and setbacks, so she resigned from teaching in 2024. But in spite of all these problems, she continues to persevere. She had created a blog spot a while ago called Roll With It Baby, where she advocated for, or advocates for, disability awareness. One of her special causes is wheelchair accessible van access, parking, and educating people about how not to park near those spaces, and it really messes up her access and others. And so she advocates for herself and others also about disability access to theaters and places, or anything you want to go to. That's the painting. That's the biggest one she's ever done. And that's the one that won the art contest. So she still lives independently in Bryan. She has a great support system set up to give her help morning and evening, and help from her family, her kids. And over the last 26 years of our class, we've had the pleasure of coordinating fundraisers for her to help with medical expenses, and she has had some great sales of her artwork. She does have an art website, and if anyone is interested in knowing that art's, we'll get it out there. She's currently writing a book based on her experiences, and she's putting forth ideas, solutions, and problem-solving things that she's come up with over the years in hopes of helping others that are stricken with her condition and their families to cope with it. So when that's published, that will be yet one more accomplishment for her. She has 26 years of acquired wisdom and experience, and I think her story can help all of us to be more compassionate and empathetic and aware of people and the struggles of people with disabilities. She teaches us to be grateful for what we have, and she is just continuing to not let that light go out. She's an inspiration to me and everyone that knows her, and I think that she has done our class proud. Say a couple of words.
I thought I was just up here for eye candy, but I'm going to say, you know, after watching that video, I don't remember when I first saw that, and last time I saw Kathina was at the 20th reunion, and I lose touch. I'm not great at keeping connected, but I saw that, and it's probably the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Immediately bought the best of her paintings, which we should really, when it comes up, we should do a standing ovation, because her paintings of storms and clouds are breathtaking. Yes? Thanks for the tour. I think the thing that sums up Kathina best is something that she said in the video. And her son-in-law, by the way, Stephen, produced that, and I think was her daughter involved also? It's an amazing video. But she said in the video, there was no training manual for what I went through. Well, she's writing the training manual, which I think is pretty astounding. So, Kathina, I'm really honored to be up here. And Britta, her sister, lovely sister, is going to say a few words. Oh, and get the award.
Sorry. I'm shorter than most, so. So I told Kathina, I said, well, you need to send me something because I'm not going to make it up. Just pretend like you're winning the Grammys or something. And so she sent me something to say. But I just wanted to mention before I read what she wrote that this is really an honor for her and our whole family. And she's such an inspiration. And we need to all remember that we don't know what tomorrow holds, So carpe diem, seize the day. So this is from Kathina. She said, I am so honored and humbled to receive this recognition. I would first of all like to express my gratitude and love to my sweet Lynn Nicolai and Chuck Goodwin for their nomination of me for this recognition. Well, Chuck said he didn't know about the sweet part. And to Sue Lehman and the Hamilton Central School Hall of Honor Committee for selecting me for this honor. I know this took a long time to get everything planned and set up for the presentation, and I just want you to know you have my deepest appreciation. I also want to acknowledge each of my awesome Hamilton Central School 1975 classmates for reaching our 50th reunion. Woohoo! And other friends and family members in attendance today. So many of you have given me support throughout the years in my trials and tribulations. I wish I could thank you all in person for your amazing help and give each of you a hug around the neck and tell you all how much you are loved and cherished. I really wish I could be there. Just keep moving forward and loving each other like there's no tomorrow. Things can happen in the blink of an eye. Thank you again, Kathina.
Once again, congratulations to Kathina MacArthur Hatlaw, class of 1975. Our next inductee is Beth Van Skak, class of 1987. Beth was a member of the National Honor Society, a member of the gymnastics team, and played tennis, and was very active in musical theater here at HCS. She received her Bachelor of Arts degree from Stanford University, and also a graduate of Yale Law School, and received her PhD from Leiden University in the Netherlands. She has forged a distinguished career in protecting and promoting human rights as an author, educator, advisor, and ambassador in the United States State Department. She has served under Secretaries of State Hillary Clinton and John Kerry, and also served in the Biden-Harris administration. Joining Beth today and presenting her into the Hall of Honor is a longtime friend and former HCS teacher, Jill Strand.
Thank you, Gary. I think my family will tell me if they can't hear me. Okay. I am extremely honored to be a part of this special occasion as Beth Vanskok, class of 1987, is inducted into the Hamilton Hall of Honor. I do want to thank all of you who are joining us today and welcome any members of Beth's class and other alumni who are in Hamilton and remembering and rejoicing their friendships and experiences at HCS. This is a special place full of special people. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Beth's family. Beth's husband, Brent Lang, is accompanying his wife as she's honored this weekend. Brett? Brent helped run a public company for 21 years. Beth and Brent consider it their third child. Beth and Brent was an employee number 6 when the company was sold in 2022, and it had 900 employees. I would say that was successful. Another unique and very interesting accomplishment in his life, in addition to having Beth as his wife, is this occurred for Brent during his undergraduate school at the University of Michigan. Brent was a member of the University of Michigan's relay swimming team that won the gold medal in the 1988 Olympic Games in Seoul, South Korea. Isn't that amazing? They have 2 children, a son who is currently opening his own restaurant business in Seattle, and a daughter who is in the process of applying to medical school. I think we can see some more successes coming on here. The Vanskok family arrived in Hamilton just in time for Beth to enter the 3rd grade. Her father had accepted a Colgate University faculty position in the Fine Arts Department with a degree. In art history, her mother also worked for the Art and Art History Department. It was a perfect arrangement. I think this is the ceremony about the arts, right? Anyway, subsequently, at the 3rd grade level, Beth began to light up life in our community in so many ways. In Hamilton Central School, I'm going to talk about Beth, the high school student. And Beth was truly a unique presence during high school. She had a wide circle of friends and was well-liked. But she also had the ability to make others feel so special. Thus, what made her popularity so unique was her inclusiveness and her authenticity. She had a vibrant personality and a great sense of humor, and she made everyone feel like a genuine friend. This implies having an emotional intelligence and a quiet kind of leadership. Beth also stood out for her distinct style. She loved wearing vintage clothes and unique accessories, like her unforgettable collection of funky earrings. She even wore one of my favorite vintage high school gowns to her prom. Beth's fashion sense was ahead of its time and definitely made an impression. However, the mention of Beth's special style isn't just about fashion, fun. It showed that she had a strong sense of identity and self-expression. It really takes confidence to be original in high school, and it suggested she was comfortable standing apart from the norm without being aloof. That kind of creative confidence often can signal someone who would go on to shape culture or relationships in thoughtful ways. You did it. Beth was also very bright and articulate, but never showy. She engaged in her classes, and her genuine relationship with her teachers in school stood out. She remained humble and approachable and always eager to learn. This kind of relationship also carried over to those of us who coached her and worked with her in extracurricular activities. On a certain level, Beth, I always felt like you and I were friends. It's a rare for a student to navigate both peer and adult relationships with that kind of balance. It hints at a maturity and a kind of social grace. At Hamilton, as has been mentioned, Beth was on the yearbook staff, tennis team, and track team. Also, she was a member of the Area Lights gymnastics team that I coached within the Colgate Gymnastics Club space. And that program came about because of Olga Korbut. If you remember her as the Russian gymnast way back, I don't remember the year now for sure, but all of a sudden this gymnastics came into everybody's living room on television, and the mothers started coming to me and said, Jill, could you please start a gymnastics program? Our little girls are driving us nuts. They all want to be Olga Korbut. Beth is an accomplished dancer. Thus, in her junior and senior years, when she enrolled in Colgate classes, she became a member of the Colgate Raiderettes dance team that I also coached. And this included regular home and away performances at Colgate football games and other venues as invited, attending the Universal Cheerleading Association college dance camps, and making great new friends on the next level up for her. Beth was in many of the high school musicals under the direction of our beloved Dale Soderberg, who was inducted into the Hall of Honor last year. Beth fondly remembers a special part that we created for her in Man of La Mancha to feature her dance skills. In college, she continued her interest in theater as both a cast member and a choreographer. As I conclude the private parts of Beth's life, I would like to tell you a story that I hope makes you smile. My sons, Lauren and Jason, who are classmates 1 year older than Beth and 1 year younger, and their friends, Bodie and Colm, the essential ingredient for these boys was for them to prepare for the very, very important Hamilton Central School Air Band contest. And that included a trip to raid Beth Van Scock's closet. And Beth had just the cutting edge clothes for these guys to play the part of Billy Idol punk rockers at 100%. And it was the ticket to winning the competition. Beth, we're so proud of who you are as a person and the things you have accomplished. And thank you for the bottom of our hearts for being just you. I think I'm supposed to read now what is on Beth's official bio. Again, a bit repetition, but we can't say it enough times. Beth, a 1978 graduate of HCS, was a member of the National Honor Society on the Area Lights gymnastics team played tennis, and was active in musical theater, performing in annual Maskers productions. Beth and I couldn't remember them all for sure. In 1991, she earned her BA from Stanford, where she remained active in musical theater. She earned her JD from Yale Law School in 1997 and her PhD in International Criminal Law from Leiden University in 2020. Her professional career has focused on protecting and promoting human rights as an author, academic, advocate, and diplomat. She's been a professor of human rights at Stanford and an advisor for human rights organizations in Cambodia, Syria, and elsewhere. In 2022, she was sworn in as the 6th Ambassador at Large for Global Criminal Justice under the Biden-Harris administration in the U.S. State Department, after serving as deputy in the same office under Secretaries of State Clinton and Kerry. Her role included advising the Secretary of State and other U.S. government leaders on prevention and accountability for war crimes, genocide, and crimes against humanity. She has taken great pride in creating pathways to justice in Ukraine, supporting transitorial justice efforts across Africa, and evaluating the voices of survival globally. As a practicing lawyer, Beth also litigated cases on behalf of victims of torture and other human rights abuses in U.S. courts. She is widely regarded as a preeminent authority on human rights, the law of war, and atrocity prevention. She lives in California, where she enjoys travel, the arts, and hanging out with her family. Beth Skok, you are making us so proud of who you are and what you've accomplished, and we're proud here for having a part in launching you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Beth.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Jill and everyone. This is really wonderful to be here. I'm somewhat overcome by emotion. Thank you, Jill, for such a beautiful introduction. Being an Aerialite and a Raiderette and participating in musical theater here were really formative parts of my childhood, real highlights. And these experiences instilled a love of dance and of theater and the arts that continues to this day. In fact, just this week, my husband and I were in New York, and we saw Gypsy, which some of you may remember I was in as Baby June, and so we got to see the Broadway performance of that this week. And we also saw The Outsiders, which, if I'm remembering correctly, Dale Soderbergh assigned for our English class, so many of us would have read the book, and so it was terrific to see that on the stage. So thank you, Jill, for that great introduction, and thank you to Nan and all of the committee for bestowing this honor on me. It's really a privilege to be recognized by the community that raised you. So thank you for that, and thank you for so many of you for coming this morning, particularly my classmates who I see out there and people who I was so involved in over the years with various and sundry adventures and some trouble, mostly good trouble. And congratulations, Kathina, for all of your accomplishments. It's really special to share this day with you today. I bring me greetings from my mom, Carol, who unfortunately, or well, fortunately for her, she's somewhere on the Adriatic at the moment with some women friends of her on a trip. And from my sister, Leslie, who is with Tammy Rollins, who some of you may remember, the Rollins family. She is on a super Jeep somewhere in Iceland, so they couldn't be here today, but they bring their greetings. Leslie, by the way, is a yoga teacher, she's an animal fosterer, and a pediatrician, and usually in that order. So she's also been quite accomplished. So this is, as I mentioned to some of you, this is the first time I think I've been back since the late 1990s, when Brent and I had our first child, Miles. My parents both retired from the art history department and moved out to California to assume their grandparenting duties. And so we really lost our primary mooring here. But I never ever forgot how special this place was. Growing up in this amazing community was really such a blessing, idyllic in so many ways. Of course, I think my classmates and I experienced our share of challenges. There was inequality around us, there were illnesses, there were missed opportunities, there was heartbreak. Most tragically, we had young people taken from us too early and loved ones as well. And of course, no community is immune from these realities. If folks in the audience know her, I want to extend my heartfelt condolences to the friends and family of Izzy, who I know was clearly beloved by so many people in this community. And yet, despite all this, we were so fortunate to have grown up in such a supportive, verdant, and safe community that was rich in culture, that was passionate about sports, and that was just overflowing with opportunities for joy, for adventure, and for learning. I think growing up in a small town gave me something quite powerful, which was a deep curiosity about the rest of the world. And this was very much cultivated by both the STEM community and the humanities faculty here on campus at HDS. And this curiosity, I think, ultimately is what led to me becoming an international lawyer and a diplomat, but also an educator myself for my entire career. My work as an academic, as a human rights advocate, as a lawyer and a diplomat has enabled me to see many, many parts of the world. And in these travels, I realized how rare it is to grow up in such a special place like Hamilton. In many quarters of the world, people are more likely to experience war and hardship and injustice. It's often a challenge for many people to meet the basic needs on a daily basis. I've seen, as you can imagine, the worst that humanity can deliver: senseless wars, genocide, entire villages destroyed because of their residents' religion or ethnicity, the use of starvation and sexual violence as weapons of war. But time and time again, I have seen that the worst of humanity also brings out just the best of humanity. So I've worked with survivors who've endured unspeakable horrors, and yet every day, they wake up and they try and think about ways to provide justice for their communities. Families who've literally lost everything and yet are working creatively to come up with reparation schemes so that people around them can rebuild their lives. Women who were in originally patriarchal societies where they might never have left their homes on a daily basis, and yet now they're suddenly assuming leadership roles, trying to advocate on behalf of their communities. I will never forget sitting on a dirt floor in a shelter in the world's largest refugee camp in Bangladesh, which is home to more than 1 million Rohingya who had fled genocidal violence in neighboring Myanmar, also known as Burma. And there I was working and speaking. I was the first woman to hold this role, and I was speaking with women who were documenting abuses of their friends and neighbors, who were advocating for better conditions in the camp, who were learning forensic science so they could go back eventually to Myanmar to identify the remains of their loved ones so that people could have a proper burial. They were testifying, even without travel documents. I had to figure out how to get refugees in a refugee camp in Bangladesh down to Argentina to give live testimony before a judge who had opened a case for a genocide happening in Myanmar when Bangladesh didn't have a diplomatic center in Argentina, so we had to work through our embassies in Brazil to make all this happen. And those women got on that plane and gave testimony before a judge about what had happened to them, leading to the indictment and the arrest warrants against individuals who they deemed responsible. And they're doing all this so that these stories are not forgotten and that so justice can be served. And where I'm everywhere struck by the diversity of the human experience, it's also so incredible to see the commonalities that hold us together. And often it is this universal longing for justice in the face of injustice. And what I've seen in my work is that justice takes many forms. It can have a retributive component. You want to see those responsible punished. But it also can involve wanting a formal acknowledgement that rights were violated, an opportunity to bear witness and to give rise to historical memory. And to understand why something happened, why decisions were made, and who was ultimately responsible. Reparation, so that individuals can restart their life paths. And institutional reforms and guarantees of non-repetition to protect against future harms. So as mentioned, I was appointed by President Biden to serve as the 6th Ambassador at Large for Global Criminal Justice. I had a team of about 30 experts with a mandate to prevent and respond to atrocities and to try and devise pathways to justice, to use the military, economic, diplomatic might of the United States for good, to push for justice around the world, and to respond appropriately to atrocities. We worked with a number of incredible organizations and justice entrepreneurs around the world to do this work. In fact, just a local connection, on my way back to Syracuse to the airport tomorrow, I'll be stopping by a family who we resettled. They're protected witnesses. They're giving testimony in a genocide trial internationally. And this is very much just the best of American generosity and compassion, giving this family safe haven here so that they can prepare to give testimony in a distant court in The Hague for events that happened even farther away in the Sudan. So sadly, the current administration has halted this work as part of an enormous dismantling of the United States foreign policy infrastructure. My office will be shuttered and my extraordinary team is being disbanded. But I remain hopeful that these efforts can continue elsewhere within civil society, academic institutions, civic groups, and with the help of ordinary people like all of us, supporting, volunteering, speaking out, and supporting human rights organizations however we can. So in closing, there's an expression that you often used to see on bumper stickers that I think must have somehow entered my DNA, and it was think globally, act locally. And there's really a lot to commend this idea. The needs are great here at home, and we should all do our part to ensure that our compatriots can live in dignity and can achieve their personal highest callings. But at the same time, I think the reverse expression is also compelling. Think locally, act globally. There's so much the world can learn from small town values, such as those that we experience on a daily basis in places such as Hamilton. Caring for our neighbors, creating spaces for all voices to be heard when important issues are being discussed, ensuring that every child goes to school with shoes on their feet and a full stomach. These are wise lessons that we all can carry with us wherever life takes us. And so for the young people out there, I would really urge you to think about how you can act both locally and globally. Take inspiration from the work of the moral philosopher Peter Singer. Find ways to expand your moral universe for those who you consider worthy of our moral regard. Build solidarity with victim communities to ensure, even if they happen to live around the world, use your platform to give voice to injustice. Think creatively about novel solutions, whatever your chosen field of study or work. Compassion, as we heard earlier, is not a finite resource, and when it is shared, it can be contagious. So I'm deeply grateful for this honor, for this lovely event, and for the opportunity to return to my roots this weekend. It's really a joy to be remembered. Thank you so much.
Once again, congratulations to our 2025 Hall of Honor inductees, Kathina MacArthur Hetla and Beth Van Schaack. We'd also want to thank our superintendent, Bill Dowsland, his secretary, Jody Chantel, the custodial and maintenance staff, technology administrator, Chris Rogers, technology director, Morgan Larson, and live stream coordinator, Jay Lehman, for their assistance in putting together this morning's ceremony. We encourage you to stick around and speak personally to the inductees and view the Hall of Honor plaque showcase between the cafeteria and the gymnasium. There are some amazing, amazing stories. You should really step down and take a look. And enjoy yourselves at the all-class reunion throughout in the cafeteria, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday here at HCS. Thank you very much.